So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Project Generation episode 2, where in this episode I'll be talking about the generation of the kids of this year, of this current present year and the past, and also I'll be talking about how they act and the behaviour. But firstly, before I get into this, I do want to say a massive apology for the first episode being really short, and I know for a fact I would have called it introduction, but this is technically my first ever YouTube project thing I'm doing, so it's a bit different. So, and my first one as well, so it's going to be like this for, well, I want to say for that long, because I do have other things coming up soon, but I will not say anything else. But these are the topics I'm talking about today, and I do want to say again sorry for that short video. So you can guys call it as an introduction type, but I'd call it as a episode 1 for me, introduction of the actual project itself. So yeah, that's what I would call it. But other than that, let's begin. Right, so the first topic that I'm talking about is the generation of the kids from the present and the past. So obviously we see it on the streets, we see it on social media, they post it mainly, but we don't see it as often a lot because they're out mainly at night around about 10, 11, where we'll be sitting at home relaxing, watching TV or playing PlayStation or whatever. But to the point where I'm getting into where they're wearing all black trackies, they're wearing face masks, they're thinking they rule the street, they hang around in groups and so on, where to the point where this type of kids of this generation is completely out of line, where to the point where they're vaping as well at the same time, and they're also buying lighters and they're also smoking, but they won't understand because they want to act hard, they want to act cool, they want to but instead they're trying to get attention. They think that's what they want to do at the end of the day. They want attention is the main thing they want. But the behaviour, this started I think about 2022, but when 2020 happened, when COVID hit, right, every single kid, right, was on their phones, consoles, everything. And don't get me wrong, I was on my phone, I was on my laptop every single day because it was COVID, we can't do anything, it was lockdown. But it's the fact point where when COVID ended, after school, they're now on their PlayStation, or they're on their phones, or their iPads, laptops, whatever. That's what they're on about nowadays. It's technology, technology, technology. That's all they want. And now that's not like an uncle or granddad to me. But it's true. You can see it to the point where kids are now on their consoles every single day after school or after high school. It's gone to the point where they don't even care. They don't want to get some sunshine. They want to go outside. I don't see them as much. They'd rather stay at home, play console, or wear all black, their face covered, act like a gangster, and that's what they want to do. Now, back in primary, I didn't have a console. I'll be totally honest, I didn't have a console until about 2022, near the end of 2022, in December time, where my parents knew that if I did have a console at that time, even before, they would have known that I'll be on that console every single day, 24/7 after school on that screen. But no, they didn't get me it. I was out after school playing football, and that was like come home, eat, and do whatever I wanted to do when I was a kid. And that's what I used to do when I was young. I didn't have a console, so I was technically just enjoying my time, enjoying myself, enjoying my life when I was young. But when COVID hit, that's when it went downhill. That's where, and I do apologise for the messy here, that's when it went downhill to the point where now kids are now on their phones, iPads, everything. Up until this point, after school, after high school, bags off, jackets off, onto the iPad, onto the console, whatever. But it's crazy that the fact that they don't want to get fresh air, they don't want to go outside, or instead they want to go play on their consoles, or they want to go on the iPad, on their laptop, or anything like that. But instead, we would rather see kids actually going outside as well, acting all gangster and all that type of stuff. But there was that one time where I went to the shops and I saw a kid, probably a 13-year-old kid, asking for a lighter. Now, in that, my experience when I saw it, I was like, what? Because a 13-year-old asking for a lighter is just crazy. Like, if an adult asks for it, then yeah, if they're smoking. But if a 13-year-old is asking for a lighter, that means that for a fact they've got a cigarette. And that's beyond crazy, where I'm thinking that are the parents not doing anything or the parents not saying anything, but we can't say anything because this is not our lives. That's their lives. If they want to mess up with their life, they can. That's theirs, but it's not ours. We have our own life. We want to progress in life, but they don't want to. They would rather act like this to the point where it gets to about, let's say, about their 20s, 30s, they will regret it and they will think back and be like, oh, I should not have done this and that. But they're not going to take that step further and be like, they're not going to do that and be like, oh, I should stop doing this and this, not stop hanging with the wrong people, stop acting like a gangster, this and that. But no, they just want to be like this until God knows when, until it gets to that point where they're going to regret it. Now, to my main point on behaviour, honestly, when you think of the word behaviour, you mean like respect, the way they act. But most of the time, I don't see that. I just see kids, and I won't say kids, I mean 11 to 13-year-olds, hanging around, thinking they're hard, messing about, causing havoc, causing problems to the point where no one's doing anything. But it goes through our daily lives. Like, this is like a normal thing for us from time to time. Like, we just see it and we walk on. We don't do anything. We don't interfere or anything. But obviously, we do say something, but we're not going to actually say it in front of them or anything like that. But we're not. We're just going to say it to our friends or whoever you're out with on that day. But it's crazy that they're going to act like this, but we don't say anything. And again, that's fine, we're not going to say anything, but it's crazy to the point where they're actually smoking vapes especially, weed, cigarettes, this and that, causing havoc, this and that. But this goes for our daily lives, and honestly, we don't do anything. We can't do anything actually, as the main point, because it's not our problem, it's their problem. If they want to do this, they can. That's their choice. But my point is the fact that I don't get why they're acting like this, but I want to say COVID has done this. Well, I mean, I would say COVID has done this as well, but I'd say the way they act and parents, I won't include parents, but the way they act now is just ridiculously crazy, honestly. Because me, prospectively, in my years when I was young, I wasn't like that. I was just a normal kid, enjoying my life, playing Hot Wheels, or I was on his laptop. That's what I had until I got a console. And now I don't get time to play on my console, honestly. I'm just busy working, training, this and that. But it gets to the point where you're just there thinking like, oh my god, these kids need to actually act normally. Now, let's go into my point. They're not going to change. They're not going to act how we normally act. They're going to be like this until God knows when. And then that's when they know it's a downfall. You shouldn't have not done it, this and that. But to my experience and to my advice, don't do the stuff that you want to do. If you don't want to progress like this, then don't stop like that. But they're not gonna. They're gonna continue on. They're gonna get peer pressure by their friends. They'll be like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Don't change, this and that. Stay with us, stick with us. But honestly, it's just the point where I've just given up, honestly. And especially where they're saying words as well at the same time on because of TikTok and YouTube. There's like different words. I know one, and people are saying it so a lot, and it's from that meme that I've seen before. Honestly, it was funny at first, but then when the people are starting saying it, I was like, for God's sake. But the word Sigma, honestly, I don't know what that means. I honestly do not know what that means. But okay, it's funny, but I still don't know what that means at the end of the day. So I don't get why the guys are talking about it or why they're making the laugh about it. But kids are kids. We can't do anything about it. Now, to my final main point, I'd say that it's crazy that this goes through our daily lives and we don't do anything, and that's fine. But it's the parents thing that where the parents are not doing anything or they actually are doing something, but they just don't care. And this happened back in 2022 and 2033, and up until now, we still have this. But if we're going into 2025 to the point where this generation, this current present generation we're going to have into 2025, it's just the point where it's just going to continue on and on until God knows when, until someone actually does something. But the problem is that we're not doing anything. And we can't either. It's the parents' thing, so the parents need to do something about it at the same time. So my advice is that give them discipline. That's the main thing they should do, is to stop hanging around with these people. But if they don't listen, they don't listen. That's what they want to do. But we don't want this type of generation that we have currently right now into 2025 to the point where we're going to be like, oh, it's just the same thing over and over and again. We don't want that. We want a normal generation where people are able to understand these types of people. They should be going to school every single day, studying, come back home, either go football or, okay, I don't mind them playing PlayStation or anything like that. There shouldn't be a point where they're going to play for the entire evening. There should be a point where they could play for like 1.5, 2 hours, then go get dinner, and then after that hang out with their parents, and then they can play again. That's fine, but not to the point where they come back from school or high school and then they're going to straight jump onto PlayStation or laptops or wherever. There should be a limit where there's a point where they can play 1.5 hours in total before after school, and then they can play later on. But it's up to the parents' choice where they should be disciplined or not. At the end of the day, it's their lives as well. We can't do anything, honestly, because it's not our jurisdiction, as I like to call it. It's not our problem, it's theirs. The parents need to do something. If they don't want to do anything, that's fine, that's their choice. But at the end of the line, if they act like this for the entire lives, probably up until their 30s, they won't regret at some point where they'll be like, oh my god, I shouldn't have not done this, should have been normal, this and that. But then again, it's parents' choice. They want to do what they want to do, and that's the end of the story. But I know some people don't want this type of generation. It's 2025, we want like a normal new generation, like a normal generation how we had back in the past. But God knows, we're literally a month away into 2025, and honestly we can't do anything, honestly, so it's not technically our fault. But then again, they should do something. But we're just around the corner. Fingers crossed, if something does happen in 2025, something normal, then you will know that it's going to be a normal year. But we will see what happens in 2025, I guess. But on that, Project Generation episode 2 complete. I hope that's actually went well, honestly, and to the point where I'm actually a bit ill as well at the same time, but I'm just hoping that it's went ill. But other than that, Project Generation episode 2 complete. I shall see you guys in episode 3.